What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Sandstorm Meetup. Today, we are joined by the Ether Orcs. I'm here with Pan, Poof, and John. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Doing well, thanks.
Hey, doing great.
Thank you guys very much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. Usually like to start off with a little bit of introduction, I guess, about the team, how you guys got together, and also a little introduction about the project.
Yeah, I think we kind of have a crazy story in terms of how we got together. So I think John, myself, and Wrangler, who are kind of co-founders, we actually met each other in a Discord called Ether Orcs, where there was someone who was planning on making an Ether Orcs thing. And we were really excited about it, and we were talking about it and kind of got to know each other in that Discord in the first few days. And as we went through the process, we're like, hey, love to join the team, whatever. We realized that there was no thing there. There wasn't an actual game. It was kind of like a project that was going to go nowhere. No art or anything. So no code, whatever. So what we did is said hey, we'll take this off your hands. We'll go take the Discord. We'll go make the project. And that was kind of history from there. So from that time where we went and declared that to launch, we basically did all in 2 weeks, development, all the art, building the whole thing. We had this because we had gotten so excited about it over time, we had built this whole concept of how it would work and all the different phases and all this stuff. And then just kind of the rest has been history in terms of the team. So you got John and myself who are co-founders here, Pan, who is a super early orc community member who jumped in, and everyone on the team now is someone from the community who had a skill set or interest and wanted to help drive it. So it's kind of been amazing how it's all come together in kind of true Web3 form, where we all just met online and kind of put together a, I don't know, $50-60 million project somehow.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome story. Just literally trying to help some guy in there. Yo, we like this project. He's like, yeah, there's not really a project. That's funny. I like that. You guys, you say you're the first 100% on-chain NFT game. For anyone that's watching the stream that doesn't know what that means, if you want to give kind of a little explanation of that.
Yeah, sure. So basically, all of the art, all of the gameplay, everything about the project is 100% on chain. So we don't use IPFS, we don't use any external storage. All of the images, all of the changes to your orc and your shaman and your allies over time, it all happens 100% on chain. So whenever you have an orc, they can go and pillage different loot pools and get new gear, and all that entire process happens on chain, from them doing the actual pillaging to them getting the new gear, and that gear changing the NFT itself and the design and the weapons and armor of the character.
Nice. Awesome. And how long have you guys been around? When did this project mint out?
What's the date? I always forget the date.
It's October.
October,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, October,
Yeah.
around October 20th, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You guys were during those were the dark times. I think
yeah.
NFTs were pretty down bad back then.
Yeah.
Well, it was fascinating to we've done a ton, and I'm pretty proud of our just kind of delivery cycle, but in NFT world we're old now. October, that's ancient. That's ancient times. That's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's funny how much the space changed, because even just games and kind of on chain and all this stuff that I think we probably take for granted now as kind of a staple within NFTs. It just didn't exist then, really, in a real way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, projects back in October, a lot of them are not still around,
For sure.
Still waiting for a lot of my Halloween PFP projects to wake up.
Someday, someday.
Next
It'll be back.
Halloween. They'll be back
Yeah.
next Halloween.
There you go.
So how many Genesis Orcs exist?
So there's 50-50. So there's 5,050 Genesis
Okay.
Orcs. And then our new collection, which you mint out through playing the game, has a total of 12,000. They're called allies. But they actually, it's almost like 4 collections in one, because each ally has their kind of unique role. There's rogues, there's shamans, there's ogres that are kind of like warrior tanks. So kind of like a class-based extension with our new collection as well.
Okay, so the original Genesis Orcs, they're just orcs, and then with the new collection, that's when you have the shamans and the rogues and things like that.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. All right. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned you mint them out through the game, so I guess that's a good segue to move into the game. You know, what kind of game is Ether Orcs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And people sometimes struggle about thinking about how to explain it, because it's gotten complex over time, but it's pretty simple. Like at the beginning, I think, you know, one thing that was important to us, especially at the beginning as an kind of founded team, like, you know, coming new to the space, it was a free mint, and all the 5,050 Genesis Orcs were basically minted through the game. And kind of the innovation that we had at the first phase, which is kind of like those first 2-3 weeks, was you could do 2 things. You could either go try to mint as many orcs as you possibly can, Genesis Orcs, and, you know, really max out how you go do that. Or you could go try to level up your character and actually go after better gear, which then in turn will impact your rarity and makes you a little bit better in terms of your ability to produce Zug, which is our token. So that was kind of like the very first phase of the game. So it was very like cerebral strategy, kind of game theory type of thing. And what we found is like people each had their own strategy to varying ends. Everyone was like super into it. People didn't sleep so they could max out their mints. I mean, it was insane that first 3 weeks. So then from there, we knew what we wanted. We had kind of a couple next steps. We knew we wanted to kind of build out this second collection, have it be a little bit slower, less of a race, but start to add some new dynamics. So we introduced raiding, where basically orcs can go to different raids based on their level, and they'll try and go earn through that process bone shards, which are basically the thing that you need to go. You need 60 of them to go mint the next ally. So that's what you're looking for and trying to go get. And we've added kind of along the way all kinds of twists and turns. So it's never quite as easy as it seems. And there's always something else that's going to either get in your way or be kind of like an added reward. So as you think about as we were minting shamans actually produce potions which help you raid faster. So they actually have their own kind of unique consumable that others can use, and they can choose to sell those to other players or do other things. And then ogres actually create training dummies, which are kind of like something that upgrades your levels and skills. And here you have the different allies that you can see here. So each kind of phase of the mint, there's kind of a different set of tasks for you to go do. And it's really like, I think people have thought about it, and it's kind of surprising how fun it can be despite it being relatively simple, and how deep the strategy can be. But it's kind of like almost like a resource management game today, in terms of how it works, right? You're trying to go kind of create this team that can optimally go get bone shards, build your horde, have the right amount of different resources, trade with other players to get what you need, to kind of max out what you're doing. And then we have a lot of strategy. I think one thing that's heavily under leveraged in the space, but is a ton of fun, I'm not really sure why, is like we've kind of gamified the rarity process. So the way that your characters actually get their metadata and equipment is mostly earned or based on strategy. So you think, hey, I'm going to go on different quests as a shaman. I can kind of choose a certain set of quests and get different kind of roles for my equipment. So maybe that shaman there has really strong equipment because they took a risk and they could have ended up with nothing. And we made it pretty extreme with rogues, where there are some rogues that literally have nothing now. So there's all kinds of different kind of twists and turns like that. So that's kind of the current phase, is about kind of like getting your allies, gearing up your horde, interacting with the ecosystem, and very kind of resource based overall.
Nice. And yeah, you said that you know, you have these raids. How often can you do a raid?
It varies. Depends on kind of like, that's kind of part of the strategy. So it could be like once a day. If you right now, there's actually like this special vendors hidden stash that people are raiding a ton right now, and they can do that once a day, and it's very binary. Either you get nothing, which is like 90% of the time, or you get like 20 bone shards, which is really great. So people have been doing that a lot, but there's ones that also last as long as like 7 days. So most people, and this is one thing that we've found going through it, is like pretty much the entire community is really, really engaged. So most people are in there, you know, even if they're not raiding, they're in there checking out their orcs every day, you know, just kind of looking, all right, I'm getting ready for my next thing.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so you go on the raids and, you know, you get the bone shards, and that's how you get the allies. Is there going to be a limit to how many allies there are? Like, have you guys already done minting those? So what do you do with the bone shards after?
So right now, there's still, you know, basically 4-ish thousand allies left to mint out. So there'll be a total of 12,000. That'll kind of be it. That's actually where our next phase comes in. So one thing, like if you think about kind of our broader vision, it's about how do we go build out an overall ecosystem and kind of almost franchise that's powered by the Genesis Orcs and allies. So imagine, you know, instead of, you know, Zug and the utility tokens that you earn now, just like you would earn gold in WoW or whatever, that being actually compatible with all the future aspects of the game. And, you know, even things that people who may have no attachment in the future with Genesis Orcs to go interact with. So our next immediate thing that we're about to enter closed beta for pretty soon is more active gameplay. So everything I described, right? Kind of cerebral, more passive. You're interacting once a day or so, and it's 1 or 2 interactions after you've kind of built out the strategy. The next phase is dungeon crawling, which opens up kind of a whole new game loop and also a whole new kind of progression cycle. So you'll essentially take your orcs, enter a dungeon, and you will fight different monsters in kind of a turn-based dungeon crawler roguelike type gameplay. And then based on your performance, you'll get a treasure chest of a certain tier or quality, which can be open for resources. And then those resources can be used to craft weapons, special equipment, special items, all kinds of, and there'll be all kinds of secrets and stuff. So we're kind of going to we usually try to have like a few things happening simultaneously. So if you think about it, you'll have allies still with some room to mint out, but we're also going to then add on this layer in kind of deeper interactivity. And then that'll open up this whole crafting system and kind of entirely new game loop that opens up a lot of options.
Yeah, and we try to say, I guess this is like something we just say internally, but we've said it a couple times now. In our economy, we have Zug and bone shards, and Zug is the thing that does things, and bone shards are the token that makes things. So that's kind of just a good, like, simple way of thinking about the two tokens and how they work.
Awesome. Yeah. And we can talk about Zug real quick. It is you guys' utility token. And I did read that you're able to farm it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So only the Genesis Orcs can generate new Zug, but the allies all have items. And when any of the characters go on raids, a set percentage of the Zug that's burned goes to what's called the potion vendor in our system. and all of the items that the allies generate, as long as there's Zug in the vendor, they could sell those items for 10 Zug apiece.
I was gonna say I was gonna mention that. I wrote that down. I like you guys have like an in-game liquidity pretty much that
Yeah.
you don't need someone to buy your item from you. You can sell to the vendor and then someone can buy it from the vendor. I like that's really cool. I
Yeah.
like that. What so with Zug, what is I guess a couple different utilities that people can use the Zug token for?
So right now, the main use is going on raids. You can also enter your orc into the Hall of Champions. It lets you name your orc. And those are the two main functions for Zug as it exists today. But yeah, in the upcoming dungeon crawling system, there's going to be major uses there. You're going to have to use Zug to go on dungeon crawls.
Awesome, nice. And I did want to ask you guys, was there any games that you guys have played? I know you mentioned Gold and WoW. Was there any games that kind of inspired you guys when making this?
I think it's all over the place in terms of inspirations, honestly. Like, I think we all have different games that we all enjoyed or have nostalgia for. Like, I was hardcore into like Ultima Online and like early MMOs, so that's some of it to me. I don't know, John. What about you? Pan, you probably have a bunch of good ones, but
yeah, no, I don't know if I have such a good answer for that. I think I'm gonna have to get a better answer for that because I'm sure we've been asked that before.
I feel like some of the upcoming pieces too, like
Yeah,
land, the way we see that working, like you always mention Advance Wars
yeah,
as a
yeah.
reference for that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think like some of the I can definitely say like some of the gameplay loops we're thinking. So this is a little bit farther off now. We're thinking a few months from now. We're gonna also be doing Orc Land, and
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be different gameplay loops on there. But yeah, two of the different games that I think were just really fun. Like I loved Advanced Wars and all those strategy style games, like turn-based strategy games, are just a lot of fun. Even like Catan, for example, I love games like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned land, and that's those are the realms that you're
Yeah,
talking
correct.
about. Okay, so what what will you be able to do? I guess if you own land.
Well, lucky for, or I guess unlucky for the viewers, we don't have Wrangler on here to leak too much alpha. We haven't gone too much into the specifics on land yet, but it will be a separate gameplay loop with additional design elements that incorporate the orcs and the allies, but don't necessarily require them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a standalone element within the ecosystem, but it's also not required to own an orc or an ally to use the land. That's I guess all the alpha I'll share up for now. Maybe Poof, if you want to add anything, go ahead.
yeah, I think that's the right way to go think about it. It's something that will be more um, broad in terms of its ability to go like for people to go participate, but it will use and interact with the ecosystem. So it won't be like totally independent. And that's kind of how we see the future of kind of how EtherWorks will continue to develop is ways for kind of all these different systems to go interact with each other. All founded on kind of Genesis Orcs and allies. But yeah, it's basically think kind of like an RTS style game, I guess, plus like or maybe like SimCity slash RTS type of thing.
Yeah.
Is kind of the vibe.
Okay. Yeah, and I saw you. It said that that it would be compatible with other NFT projects. What exactly does that mean?
So I think for it's something that we've thought about whether it's explicit or it's more of like a bonus or a feature, right? Like a skin within the game, but where land will not be like it'll be accessible to people who don't have orcs. We want to make sure there's ways for other projects to have a way to kind of go participate that's a little bit special too. So we're working on some different options on that. Because I think depending on, and one of the things that was important for us to go develop dungeon crawlers and other things is like an option to be able to kind of implement interoperability as well over time.
Yeah. Because I mean, I agree. You don't want to just have the land be exclusive to only orc owners, and you know, you want to be able to have other NFT projects be able to come in and check it out and be able to use their own NFT in the land. That would be really cool.
For sure.
I wrote down a whole bunch of notes and I'm bouncing all over the place, but I did want to talk about, you know, the training of your orcs and gaining XP and leveling up. What do you get from gaining XP and leveling up your orc?
It gives you the ability to take on more difficult raids that have better rewards. So that's like the main use today. And also it lets you upgrade your equipment. So typically before you go get better equipment, you have to be at a certain level threshold. But then in the future, you'll actually, you know, you'll maybe use those levels as well. They may help you in dungeon crawls as you'd expect. So,
all right, yeah. And you said the what is it? The ogres are the ones that can craft the training dummies.
Yeah, that's correct.
So basically, they craft these training dummies, and any of the other ones, if the rogues or shamans want to train, like they have to buy a dummy from an ogre.
Yeah,
they don't have to. So they could technically go any orc or ally can go train, and they get like 3 levels a day.
Yeah.
But the training dummies, like everyone is obsessed with the training dummies, and they get bought up pretty quick. So it lets you instantly gain 4 levels with a training dummy. So people will, you know, get 10, 20 training dummies and go pump up their character faster.
Yeah. Is there a max level that you can reach?
There is not. There's no max level.
Technically, I think there is, but it's some insane number. It's just like, like 65,000 or something, I think.
That's right. That's right.
One day someone will reach it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I wanted to talk about the pillaging, that you can pillage one out of your 3 loot pools to also upgrade your gear. I guess what do you do with that?
Well, so in the original game, there were like loot pools, and there were actually a lot of them, and some of them had limited gear that people had to kind of race for. But that's basically where, if you're a orc, you know, it starts with basically no gear if you had a fresh one that you just minted. So you actually have to go earn it and kind of pillage these different areas, and they all have different gear that's available. And then there's kind of an equivalent thing right now for rogues as an example, where they go on trials, and essentially you're trying to go decide, hey, do I want to go have a 25% chance to get an ultra rare item, but potentially a 75% chance to get 0? Or do I want to try something else and do something safer and kind of get a middle of the road rarity? So that's how the kind of fundamental, it's called pillaging for orcs, but then each of the allies kind of have their own similar experience on how they get gear.
Yeah. And then the gear, I don't know if you mentioned this before. What does,
yes.
What can you do with the gear?
So the gear is what actually enhances your farming or crafting ability today. And then in the future, it'll have an application to dungeons as well. So like, if you've got really good gear, you'll probably farm 2, maybe 2, even 2.5 times the speed versus if you had no gear at all, kind of thing.
Okay. And is there, I don't know if there's already a thing in place, or will there be, I guess, for a way, say if someone took the less risky route and got maybe not as good of gear, would they be able to do things in game and then level that gear up?
No, not today. Yeah. So we've kind of locked in the rarity of kind of the base collection. So once it's done, it's kind of done. Although we have talked about some different options of ways to kind of refresh it. But in the new gameplay, what it'll be like is when you get into the dungeons, there'll be actually specific dungeon gear, weapons, things like that you can use to further enhance yourself. So there'll be kind of a crafting system that layers on top of all this.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. If anyone in chat has any questions, feel free to ask. Also, make sure you guys are following the stream, and make sure you guys are following Ether Orcs on Twitter and join their Discord. Join the community. Get a part of it if you're interested in this. So you want to be a new player? Should I start? Wait, I want to be a new player. Should I do to start playing? That question is all over the place.
John, new player wannabe start doing it. Why?
When you start, I would
Ham.
say the best path for you is to join our Discord and get involved with the community there. Like, I think our Discord just does an amazing job of explaining the ecosystem. We have a channel for beginner orcs who might have questions about, what makes sense for their budget, what makes sense for the specific path that they're trying to go down. And then I would say also our YouTube channel is another great place. We have Beef on our team now. He's been making some amazing content and amazing guides on like breaking down the ecosystem. It is, it seems a bit overwhelming at first, but once you kind of get into the details, you kind of start to, it makes more sense once you start to get into the ecosystem. So he's made it a little fun. He's got some funny videos and it explains the ecosystem pretty well in a couple minutes.
Nice. I like that you guys are doing that as well with the YouTube channel. I think not many projects that we've had on here has been like, yo, check out our YouTube, because I mean, yeah, it's some people are different types of learners, and it's definitely can be easier to learn if you're hearing someone talk about it and explain it versus just reading a paragraph or white paper, roadmap, stuff like that.
For sure. I mean, I know I am like my eyes start to glaze over when I start to see like long paragraphs of, explaining some project. So
Yeah.
it's great, honestly. Yeah, I'm really happy for it, or that we started doing it.
That's awesome. Now I guess we can move on to some things you guys have in the works, although we have talked about some of them. We haven't talked about the 1v1 PvPs. What's that going to look like?
That's something that I think's been moved around in our roadmap like constantly, just because we keep changing. Like we always have, we like to stay pretty flexible. We have like a general set of things that we want to be working on, and it's more about like the priority of those things that gets moved around. And PvP is something we've actually built a game in Unity and started like playing around with it, but we're not sure. Like we want to do more testing, we want to do more tweaks and see if there's like the path we want to go down, or like what the best way to implement PvP is before we like commit to one thing. So we've kind of been wavering back and forth on the best way to go about it. And I guess like that's something that will come in the future, but we're still a little bit like in the uncertain what that's going to look like exactly as of right now. But yeah, like it's something we think, just an RPG game. It would be a lot of fun to be able to battle with your orcs and allies.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a lot of fun to be able to wager.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone's talking a little trash, be like, all right, dude, put up your rare
1v1 me.
Yeah, 1v1 me for a rare piece of equipment or something, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be cool. And yeah, something else that really piqued my interest was your guys' merchandise and your talks of doing toys. I mean, that's kind of like, you're going full on brand with doing things. Like I think of stuff like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know why when I see these, like I just think of them being like trading cards. Like, do you guys ever thought about doing something like that?
Trading cards. I don't know if we've ever really talked about something like that, but that's a cool idea. I know actually I have one. Jolly Andrew actually got this for me. He's a mod in our Discord. It was a I forget I think it's Nifty Slabs. I could be wrong on that name, but they print out a card and put it in like a nice case and put like the metadata and the properties on it, and it looks really cool, I gotta say. But yeah, no, like we've started to, I guess, think of Ether Orcs and Valcala more as a brand rather than just a a one thing, and like we're always constantly thinking of how we can, give more benefit to our holders and grow out the ecosystem past just an NFT on, in this virtual environment, like how we could bring this stuff into reality as well.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys discussed any types of toys so far?
Oh, we have toys actually.
Oh, you already
We
have
got
toys.
well, they're not available for sale right now, but we have a prototype toy. And because global supply chain has been totally disrupted, it's going to be a little while before they get fully produced. But we actually do have toys. So same concept, like you get little weapons, and your little toy can equip them. So
Wow. Nice. That's I like that. That's cool.
I'll have to
Already
go. I'll have
got
to
the
go
toys
throw up.
out.
All right. Let me go see where they are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
you
have
won't be
that
able to find
image,
them. I have to go
it's like,
find it. Yeah. Let's keep chatting, and I'll send it over in Discord
yeah,
because it's not gonna be there. We have a bunch of like overall merch and stuff, but I don't. We don't have any links to the toy.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess while you do that, we can talk a little bit about. Well, we talked about 1v1 PvPs, but I read somewhere as well that you guys are doing a battleground PvP as well.
Well, I think so. The first interactive element that we want to do is probably going to be, I'd say, with dungeon crawls. And again, like this is, a future mechanic for sure. But just being able to go on a dungeon crawl with other owners of orcs or allies is
Mm-hmm.
something we want to do as well. Initially, it's just going to be a solo mechanic, but yeah, I think everyone just loves the idea of like doing things together and working together to solve a problem or to like do a puzzle or whatever it may be. So I think as the ecosystem continues to grow, and I think actually like why we like dungeon crawls so much is it's so flexible in terms of the direction that we can go with it. Like even we have the beta coming very soon, and I got to say it's pretty polished even for a beta. But like the things that you can add, it's really just like there's no shortage of like additional gameplay loops and gameplay elements that you can add. So I think that's where we'll probably see the first elements of multiplayer mechanics in the future, and
Mm-hmm.
then from there, yeah, like I'm sure we'll do something with I think land will also maybe potentially have some multiplayer mechanics as well.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and also saw you guys were working on moving to some of the assets over to Polygon layer 2. What is I guess the portal of Mount Valcala? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. So it was funny, like when we kind of launched at the perfect time for our for the environment of Ethereum at the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the time when we launched, I'd say like the Gwei price was somewhere in the like 10 to 50 Gwei range. So it wasn't too bad to do transactions on the ETH blockchain. But like, the over the last couple months, like that would get to like be it'd be expensive. Like doing any transactions on ETH start to become expensive to the point where we did a little accounting on the contract, the EtherOrcs contract, just to see how much was spent on gas, and $4 million at the time, like we did it. I'm sure it's a little bit higher at this point, but $4 million in ETH was spent on transaction fees
Oh
playing
my
the
god.
game in the first round, and like that's $4 million. That's like just taken out of the ecosystem pretty much, and we know and we appreciate that everyone had so much fun and was willing to do that and put that money into the game. But we want the game to be accessible, and we want the game to be easy to play, or accessible for any level of player, and whatever their budget may be. So we decided to build a bridge over to Polygon, but the assets themselves stay on Ethereum. So when you bridge your orc or ally over to Ethereum, it sends them to a contract and it locks them on the Ethereum blockchain. And then if you ever want to send And then you could do all your transactions on Polygon, where transactions are pennies instead of, you know, $30, $40. And if you ever want to bring your orc or ally back, you can send them back through the portal, and it will update all of the changes that were made on Polygon and unlock them on Ethereum.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was to me, it was kind of similar to a game that I played. I don't even know if it's still alive. The token probably died, but Thetan Arena. When you would play that, like you would deposit their THG token and you would get GTHG, which like stood for like game token. Like it was just a token in the game. And like, yeah, you could make transactions on there without being fees. And then you would just withdraw it back into, it was on Binance. So I don't know why they did that anyway, because Binance fees were already low, but
Yeah.
But yeah, see, like you have Zug and then like PZug,
Right.
And then yeah, so you withdraw or you go back through the portal with your PZug and you get Zug.
Yeah, exactly. And you could send Zug and P-Zug back and forth, bone shards and P-bone shards back and forth. Yeah, it's we're pretty happy with Polygon overall. Like, I will say, like, this is just, you know, the classic problem of any layer 2 system is it's hard to solve for, you know, all of the issues that need to be solved for. So there are occasional issues with the Polygon blockchain, but overall it's been a positive experience, and I know we've saved our users. I don't know if I could guess on this number, but I would imagine in the like $1 to $5 million range.
Yeah.
Plus.
I actually did it because Mouse Dev from Anonymous is like, I'm really curious what the savings was. It's like $8 million.
Oh my god.
Assuming like people would have done like all the same things that they do on Polygon, it's like
Wow.
$8 million. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, the gas fees are ridiculous. I mean, right now they're not too bad on Ethereum, but when you got Elon Musk pumping meme coins and everyone's talking about all this other
also
RAM
partially stuff. It's just like so unpredictable too, right? Like, so that's our problem. Like, where it's a game, like you don't want to tell someone like, hey, don't like do this thing right now because gas is high, right? Like you don't want that experience. So oh yeah, you got the toy. Here we go.
Yeah, this is the toy that's up, right?
Yep.
Nice. I like it. It reminds me kind of like a Funko Pop or something like that.
Yeah, it's about that size.
Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome. And like, do you let people, I guess, or is it like a plan in the future to kind of let people get their own, I guess, orc or, you know, in toy version?
Probably realistically, no. Although that would be cool if at some point we could go do that. But to start, it'll just be like a standard. You get some weapons and some different stuff, and it'll be like one of a couple different colors.
Yeah, nice. Well, I usually like to ask people towards the end of the show, you know, what I guess their goals are within, we'll say like the next 6 months. Like, what do you guys hope to achieve, and like where do you guys see the project? I'd say 6 months from now.
Wow, 6 months in this space, that's like a lifetime.
That's a couple of years, yeah.
But no, I'm sure Poof will have some thoughts on this as well. But I think like we started, like I was saying earlier, like we started to look at our company more as a brand rather than just like a standalone like NFT that exists today. So I'd say over the next 6 months, just like continuing to build out the ecosystem in the universe, if you will. So like Valhalla, what that is, where it is, how it exists, and all of the different you know, things that come within that, like how the orcs and the rogues and the shamans and how everyone plays into that system, how what that looks like, and yeah. But I guess to put that into more realistic systems, I'd say like lands is the next big thing past dungeon crawling, and that will start to build out the world. And but yeah, I'd say over the next 6 months, just continuing to build out that entire world.
Awesome. Nice. Well, I like to usually before, you know, a project comes on, I go through and think of any questions that I would have as someone who doesn't really know a whole lot about the project. I feel like I've asked just about everything that I could ask. Is there anything that you guys feel like, you know, we haven't talked about that you would like to discuss? Any alpha you'd like to leak?
Any alpha? I feel like we've leaked a decent amount, so I don't know if there's anything
Peppered in there.
extra.
It's been peppered in there.
Yeah, it's peppered in. It's kind of funny. Like we don't like to share too much until we're like really, really ready. But you know, usually we end up kind of just letting the key stuff that we're working on out because we're excited about it, like dungeon crawls and everything else. So
yeah, I mean that's good. That's good too that you don't share too much because ideas change and things change, and then if you share something and then, you know, someone's a part of the project and they hear that you shared something, like, well, dude, what happened to this? You're like, well, that idea changed, and they're all pissed off about it.
Exactly, and I think that's kind of not that that's really happened too much, but yeah, like PvP, for example, like that was initially planned to be a lot earlier on than it is now. So, you know, roadmaps change and things get moved around and priorities change. So yeah, we try to play stay pretty quiet on what's getting built and then just like drop it all at once, you know?
Yeah, I like that. It's good. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys very much for coming on the show today. I do appreciate it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you for having us. I love this setup too.
And I want to thank everyone for watching in the chat. Like I said, make sure you guys are following the stream, and make sure you guys are also following the Ether Orcs. And like I said, join their Discord if you're trying to figure out how to play. Like they said, the Discord and the YouTube channel, that's going to be where you're going to get, you know, most of your knowledge and learning how to start. Go check it out. And I want to thank you guys for watching the stream today, and we will be live again on Monday at around the same time, 12 Eastern.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.